Hello everyone. So if you see here, we have one more topic, Vxlan. So why we need this one? This is also we are using in the data center. The full form of Vxlan is nothing but virtual extensible local area network. It is a tunneling protocol that tunnel the Ethernet layer 2 traffic over IP layer 3 traffic. Why we need this virtual, what we can say, virtual extensible local area network? Why we need this Vxlan? We are calling this Vxlan. So we have the problem like whenever we connect the switches, we are having the spanning tree. It is blocking the redundant link. This is one problem, and we have the limitation in our normal VLAN. Normal VLAN, whatever we are using, that is a 12-bit VLAN ID, and total we can create 4094 VLAN only. Okay. Totally we can create 4094 VLAN only. But if you see, if you are working in the ISP, network, ISP is having 5,000, 10,000 customer. So if he give one VLAN to customer 8 VLAN, or if he is using 4094, if he is having the 5,000 customer, then there will be shortage of the VLAN. So for that situation, we will have the issue. One thing, first what we are saying, spanning tree block the redundant link between the VLAN, and also we have the limitation about the VLAN, means we can create only 4094 VLAN only. This is second problem. Third problem, large MAC address, because nowadays we are using virtualization, especially in the data, what we can say, data center. In the data center we are using virtual machine. And if you see virtual machine, we will have physical one MAC address, but virtual we will have multiple NIC card. Virtual we have multiple NIC card. So we need to store multiple MAC address in one physical MAC NIC. Means one physical network will one physical NIC card will deal with the multiple MAC address. So we will have this also issue, because generally when we are putting the port, like switch port, we are putting one MAC address for one port. If you see, before server virtualization, one MAC address per switch port, but after virtualization we will have multiple MAC address per switch port of switch port, one for each VM virtual machine. So if you remember, when we are doing the port security or anything, we are assigning one MAC address to one particular port. But now we have the multiple MAC address, because we are creating multiple VM. VM is nothing but virtual machine. In a virtualization, if you have server, you can create multiple server. So this is the three problem we have. So to overcome these types of issue, we are using the Vxlan. So how Vxlan is going to work? Vxlan is having the overlay and underlay network. First thing we need to remember, Vxlan is having the overlay and underlay network. Overlay network is nothing but virtual network which is running on the underlay network. So what is overlay, what is underlay means? Underlay means physical network. If you remember, we created before GRE IPsec tunnel, we created. When we created the GRE, that is a virtual, not a physical. Physical one we have router, switch, all that one, but we created as a virtual, we created the tunnel VPN, we created the virtual private network. So that virtual is we are calling overlay. And the real thing what we have, like from the routing protocol, any protocol we are creating something, that is a virtual. The virtual whatever we have, we are calling that is a overlay. And whatever physical thing we are having, that is known as underlay. So now what I am saying here, Vxlan have overlay and underlay network. Overlay network is a virtual network which run on the top of the underlay network. So what I am saying, this is a underlay physical network, and this is a virtual network. Example, we configure VPN, so we created virtual tunnel here. That is known as overlay network. So underlay network is a physical network. It is simple network. We only use the routing here. All the fancy stuff will be happened over the overlay network. So this one here we are using only routing protocol, but if you configure GRE anything, we created virtual tunnel, that is known as overlay, and whatever physical device we have, that is known as underlay. So now in case of Vxlan, overlay network is a layer 2 network, and underlay network is a layer 3 network. So we need to remember, we are saying whenever we are using the VXLAN, in that scenario we have the overlay network, means this above network, the logical network. The logical network will be layer 2 network and the physical network will be layer 3 network, this one. And if you see, overlay network is a virtual, that is L2, that is layer 2, and underlay network is a physical, that is L3. Overlay run on the top of the underlay. Just now we discussed this. And VXLAN is having the VX network identifier, that is VNI. This is similar to VLAN ID. If you remember, in the traditional normal VLAN, we are saying the VLAN, how many we can create. If you see, just now it is a 12-bit and we can create 4094 VLAN. But for the VXLAN, we have 24 bits and we can create approximately 16 million VLAN, 16 million VXLAN. So it will be okay for large service provider network. So what we are saying, with this one we can create the 16 million VXLAN, and this will be sufficient for a large service provider network. For that purpose we are using VXLAN. And we also have the VTEP, that is nothing but VXLAN tunnel endpoint. VXLAN tunnel endpoint. It is a device which encapsulate or decapsulate the layer 2 traffic. This is connected to overlay and the underlay network. And let me show you. And we have two types, that is, one is software based we have, and one we have the hardware based. Software based means what we can do, like we are using hypervisor. If you remember, let me show you, this is also hypervisor. If I show you anything here, like let me show. Here also I am using virtual network. Here I am having this virtual NIC card. Here another virtual. So I can create more also. And here if you see, I have this setting here. So this is a VMNAT, virtual network adapter 8. So here I can create more also. If I take any other setting here, if you see here we have the adapter. If I show you, this is the adapter, this is virtual. If I want, I can create add, I can add so many here. Okay, so that is a software base, that is a virtual software base. So if you see here what I am saying, this is a software base. So what software we can use, it has the hypervisor is having, one is VMware EXI, or we can use Microsoft Hyper-V, depend which hypervisor. So this hypervisor run the virtual switch, like just now I shown you. Here we will run the virtual switch which support VXLAN. So VXLAN tunnel run between the virtual switch of the hypervisor. So underlay network do not know even what VXLAN, and hypervisor only run the VXLAN. So in simple, we are creating the virtual. If you see this one, this is a underlay network, whatever we have in routers or anything. Here we created the virtual VXLAN. And if you see, this is a server. In that one we have the hypervisor. So with the hypervisor we have the virtual switch, we have virtual adapter, and that is connected to our physical switch. Here we have only one, but inside this one physical switch is physical NIC card is connected to virtual switch, and virtual switch is connected to lot of virtual machine. So this is a software base. We have the same thing like a hardware base. If we don't have software base, then we can buy the hardware, that is VTP hardware device like a router, switch or firewall which is supporting VXLAN, and we can buy that one and we can connect that. So this is another thing, that is a hardware base or software base. Software base will come in the our what we can say VMware or any hypervisor, and hardware means we need to buy that one which is supporting the VXLAN. And what we can say, VTP interface. So interface we have different here, like interface we can assign the IP address and it will connect the VTP to underlay network. We can encapsulate, decapsulate the traffic. And if you see, we have one more interface, VNI. It is similar to SVI. If you remember, we are creating switch virtual interface. Same like that we can create in this VXLAN. So we can send the traffic separately on the physical interface. If you see here, I have the one in virtual interface, one more virtual interface. We are sending the traffic separately to the network. So this is like creating virtually, same like different VLAN and different SVI, sending the traffic. So we can send separate traffic. It is going through underlay. Okay, so this is just theoretical concept, just about Vxlan. We are not using this. Mostly we are using in the data center, this one. Okay, we need to remember the full form and why we are using this one, because of the limitation. We have this limitation and we can overcome by using the Vxlan. Normally when we use any VLAN, we can create maximum 4094, but here we can have the 16 million. So service provider is using mostly this technology to keep the different customer, because they have the lot of customer. They will put the connection in the VLAN, different VLANs. Okay, so this is a, what we can say, this is a Vxlan.